In April of this year, Jonathan Bolerjack launched a strange Kickstarter for a documentary he was making called Stan Lee: The Final Chapter. Jonathan had worked as an assistant to Stan Lee for the last 4 years of his life. In his time, he claims Stan Lee's inner circle was filled with vile people trying to drive a wedge between him and his family and take his fortune.
My name is John Bolerjack, and for the last 4 years of Stan Lee's life, I was his assistant, his confidant, but most importantly, his friend. I traveled the world with him, witnessing firsthand the incredible highs of his legendary career, but also the heartbreaking lows. Stan spent his final years enduring mistreatment, manipulation, and betrayal at the hands of a few very bad actors.
Is there any way to get us out of that San Francisco thing? Or do you feel we gotta do it?
Gotta do it.
Jonathan documented and recorded everything he saw when he was there, and now wants to get the word out about the abuse and manipulation of his old friend and an industry juggernaut. And he only needs $300,000 to release the footage? If there's one Kickstarter that has made waves this year, it is definitely Stan Lee: The Final Chapter, but probably not for the reasons it wanted to. Stan Lee, creator of... You know who Stan Lee is. And if you saw Stan Lee in the last few years of his life, you might recognize this person. This is Max Anderson, Stan Lee's former manager, convicted felon, and whom Stan Lee's daughter sued, claiming Anderson abused Stan Lee and stole millions of dollars worth of memorabilia from him during his time as manager. Jonathan says the manipulation and abuse Stan Lee endured was real and worse than anybody knows. The footage he's released is definitely eyebrow-raising, putting it mildly.
Give a riveting speech, you're gonna change lives.
I thought I was finished with that. What do I have to do now?
You're never over.
You what?
I said I thought I was finished. No. But apparently I'm not.
No. Once we're done, we'll get out of here.
Now what do I do here?
Same thing, talk about you. We'll make some new questions.
But I don't have the...
Yes, you will. Yes.
You get your money's worth out of me.
Every single penny.
Penny, like 5 pennies.
Stan Lee and his daughter once had to call the police on Anderson after he showed up to their residence uninvited and refused to leave. The Daily Mail says a nurse told police that Anderson threatened and offered a $50,000 cash bribe to make false claims about J.C. Lee and one of her associates. There's also reports apparently that one of the nurses... just Google that one on your own time. But apparently, just 2 months later, Stan Lee would have a restraining order against his new manager, Kia Morgan. Kia has allegedly stolen hundreds of thousands of dollars from Stan Lee and falsely imprisoned him, taking the 95-something man alone to a Beverly Hills condo where he tried to isolate and extort money from him. There's also reports of someone siphoning $850K to try to buy a condo, a story of a forged Stan Lee check for $300,000. It certainly does seem like Stan Lee got surrounded by horrendous people trying to take him for all he's worth. Now, 7 years after Stan Lee's death, Bolerjack is ready to tell the whole world the uncomfortable story. But you probably already have a few questions over this. One, what took so long to spill the beans? Why are you holding elder abuse footage behind a paywall? Why is it a $300,000 paywall? What were you doing filming all this abuse instead of trying to stop it? John did manage to score some big names in the comic industry to talk in his documentary. Rob Liefeld, Todd McFarlane, Mark Waid, J. Scott Campbell. But then again, if you already filmed the interviews, what's this money for? Well, John Bolerjack answers some of these questions by listing what he needs for the documentary. But you only have to scroll a little down that list before you start asking even more questions. Set construction? Soundstage space? What are you building a set for? Visual effects for what? Recreating his elder abuse in a soundstage? People online weren't convinced either. And I love the guy who donated just $1 so they could leave a comment shit-talking the project right on the Kickstarter. I mean, he's being rude about it, but he's making a good point. Bolerjack actually answers most of these questions in an interview he did with Comic Book Online. I have no idea why he didn't just link to it on his Kickstarter, but it does exist.
Planning it, Max Anderson finds out that I'm doing it, and he sues me. And this is when I have like $3,000 to my name, and I get served, and he sues me to stop this film, to say that it's his footage, he owns it, I can't do anything with it, and I have like no money. Now, luckily, I found the nicest, like not greedy lawyer in Beverly Hills who took this on basically for nothing and said that he would let me pay him back later because he just felt really bad for me. And so we had to fight that lawsuit till today.
Getting sued by the guy who doesn't want his scam to go viral does make sense. But why are we only hearing about all this abuse just now?
Other criticism, which I'm sure you've seen, is that why didn't I just put this stuff on YouTube, right? And the thing is I did. So in 2018, I took a bunch of footage of Stan at a convention. I chronicled the whole day of him, like from arriving to leaving, being like treated very poorly. And I put that on the internet, and I spent a lot of time and care on it. I put it on YouTube. I sent it to everywhere that I could, podcasts, comic stuff. I even asked friends to share it. And some people refused because they thought, oh, I don't want to get sued. Like, this is showing stuff like I might get in trouble. There was a lot of fear about sort of making this a big deal. And no one picked it up. It sat on YouTube for 2 months. It had 2,000 views, and no one cared.
Also, a quick YouTube video of Stan Lee getting manipulated is not exactly proper justice. And yes, it is true many Kickstarter projects fail because one filmmaker underestimated just how much it cost to make a movie, but $300,000 still is a lot, especially for a documentary. So where does this money come from?
Well, how much, if you had to guess, how much money do you think you've spent out of your own pocket on this project so far?
So personally, between the lawsuit that came of it and the actual money in the film, I'm over $200,000.
I mean, I guess he wasn't lying. He does include legal fees in his description of what he needs. He just didn't mention how much of the pie that accounts for. But we still haven't gone over the most obvious question. Why didn't he say something sooner?
The thing is in the Kickstarter, people assume that nothing was attempted, but I just didn't have 8 minutes to go over the history of all the attempts that were made. Sure. And so, to do that here is essentially, yes, like at that time, people did raise questions about it, about Stan, about the traveling, and they were vocal. Part of the entourage were vocal. And what would happen is if they got too vocal, they were gone. The next week, they were gone. And we were told that they were caught stealing from Stan and they were fired. And so it was pretty clear that there was some sort of like attempt here to silence that kind of thing. So instinctively, I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, do I want to be that third person who just goes off and then is gone, and now Stan has no one here to advocate for him? So I had to wait for a time that I thought like, okay, I could really do something. And that's why I'm filming this stuff, because I am making a documentary, but I'm also filming it because it's evidence, and I want to be able to give that to the police or someone to help them. And so inevitably I did give it to the police. I gave a hard drive, a little thumb drive, to the Beverly Hills Police Department and the Los Angeles District Attorney that had footage of what had happened. It had audio recordings, video, it had a lot of stuff, but nothing came of it. Like I gave it to them, and it never went anywhere.
You didn't hear anything from them at all about it?
No, I mean, I gave it to them, and then basically the way it was described to me was that some of this stuff was morally reprehensible, but not necessarily, because again, I'm not a lawyer. I don't know the legal definition of abuse.
Again, this is just his side of the story. Do I think that John is totally blameless in all of this? Probably not. And maybe he kept quiet about it until it was too late, but if he's willing to go through this much work to expose the abuse, maybe I'll cut him a little slack. Sadly, the Kickstarter didn't even get to half of its $300,000 goal. But although good intentions or not, John did shine a light on something pretty huge. It's a little mind-boggling how under the radar this all went. I'm willing to bet you didn't even know about all this happening before John posted about it. Whether or not John is blameless or not isn't really the interesting part to me. I mean, okay, it's a little interesting, and I totally understand why people are concerned about potentially giving more money to one of the abusers. It makes perfect sense. I do believe there's more to the story than on the surface, but I get it. The video is very suspicious. But what's way more stunning is just how little people knew about these abusers at all, myself included. Stan Lee is gone now, obviously, so there isn't necessarily justice to be held on his part, but it's good as an eye-opener. If it could happen to Stan Lee, it can happen to literally anybody. So what's a good lesson to learn from this? Well, if you see something, say something. And if you don't, you're part of the problem.